The story is more of a story about what an incredible asshole that I am. Or that I have been before. It was like 1984. It was band camp. And of course, you're going through this whole process of high school and, self-discovery and understanding and dating and all this kind of bizarre stuff that was happening. And I really had very few constants in my life, and one of them was my friend Larry, who was probably the nerdiest person that I'd ever met. Of course, look at me. And Larry was much, much nerdier. And of course, at the time, I was very young. Of course, I was like, I think I was a junior in high school. Well, I was getting ready to be a junior in high school. And I was still really short. I did not grow until later on. And I had just I had gone from playing trumpet in band to tuba. So for marching band, I was the sousaphone, or one of the sousaphones. There were 4 of us. And of course, I was this really, really tiny guy with this enormous, enormous instrument. And this is the first year that I really had to play it. The year before, I was supposed to play it, and stuff had happened. I had to go back to playing the trumpet. It was kind of bizarre. In any case, we get to band camp, and so there's all these like social norms of things that happen. We went to Tri-State University in Indiana, and it's a week away from all your parents and everything like that. You had your dorm room, but there was like a social norm, the things you did at night. And one of the things that we did was play Trivial Pursuit. Of course, this was the 80s, it was a really big thing. And so, the thing was, like, my friend Larry and I had been best friends since we began hating each other in 7th grade. Because we hated each other because we were the nerdiest ones, and we were kind of competing on being which one was the smartest in school. At that point in class, like, people would ask these questions, and I had just moved to Scottsburg, and I moved from Virginia, which were better schools than Indiana. So I came in, and I was like a whiz kid. And Larry was pissed because he had been top of the class the entire time. And so, we hated each other for the longest time, and then we got to be really good friends. We got to be friends over this toy called the Missing Link. It was like a Rubik's Cube puzzle. And the thing was, we became really, really fast friends after that point. And we've been friends ever since. So junior year band camp rolls around, and we're teaming up on, we are the unbeatable team for Trivial Pursuit. I mean, 2 really good nerds. And so, the people are like trying to, they trade around, and people want to come play with us and play with your teams together. And 2 of the people that came along were a girl named Stephanie and a girl named April. And Larry just fell in love with Stephanie. And Larry fell in love with April. And I'm gay because I really couldn't care less about either one of them, but that wasn't the point. Larry really liked both of them, and that's fine. At the time, it wasn't an out thing, so I was just, I was just me at the time. I was just trying to fit in and so forth. And so Larry and I started to talk about it, and he really liked one of them. And so I started to talk about it, and it was like, we ended up turning this conversation into a thought process. And we ended up turning it into the concept that we would compete for points for one of the girls. And I wasn't really as concerned about getting the girls as I just wanted to win. I was going to win this. And so we went back to our dorm room, and there was these blackboards up, in the room, and we decided to use pretty much the most useless thing for a teenage geek at that point in time, which was deodorant. A scoreboard with me on one side and Larry on the other side, and throughout the week, as we did our points, we would add points to either side, whoever seemed to win the situation. And of course, this is all the whole teenage delusion that you're actually making a difference when you're having these conversations and you've got an end, because at that point we were really taking an extra effort to be especially cruel to each other over this situation. Larry basing his entire self-worth upon this, Larry, my best friend, and me basing his entire self-worth on this only because I wanted to win. And we went back and forth for the whole week. And of course, through this whole thing, we're out on the marching band field, and it's hot, and we're all trying to be popular. We're all trying to be sexy, which is really funny for 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds. And of course, and I'm playing. I'm walking around with a tuba. I mean, you really cannot be sexy with a tuba. And the other part about when I took the thing off, it actually stood taller than I did. So there really wasn't anything sexy at all about it. But no, the thing is we continued this on and on, back and forth, through the lunch hours and through the marching down sessions, and whenever we had breaks, and we went back and forth. And so, we went through this whole process when we would go back to our Trivial Pursuit things. And finally, like one of the final nights in that, we went through that conversation about, because Stephanie, everybody got the idea. They knew what was going on. And finally she's like, well, I've decided to make a choice. And of course it was a big deal. So we all gathered outside. We were all on the stairs. It was dark. It was that weird hot evening when the sun was already down, so it was like just a little bit of glow left in the sky, and everybody was like sitting on the steps, and Stephanie's standing over on the side, and she's like, I really want to make my choice, and I decided I'm going to go ahead and choose Jared, because I've always really liked him, and blah blah blah. Of course, we met her earlier that week. The thing was that night I went back to the dorm room, and the blackboard had been wiped out, and what had been written up there is it's over. And it was like, man, that was really stupid. Because I went through this whole process of trying to beat my best friend for something that I didn't really want at the time, and I won.